The story of Desmond Doss is one of the most powerful real-life examples of courage, faith, and conviction ever recorded in war history. It doesn't begin on a battlefield, but in a quiet home in Virginia, where a young boy was raised with strong beliefs that would one day put him at odds with the very nature of war itself. Desmond grew up in a deeply religious household as a devout Seventh-day Adventist. From a young age, he was taught to live by the commandment, "Thou shalt not kill." Unlike many others, he took this not as a suggestion, but as an absolute rule for his life. As he grew older, stories of violence and conflict disturbed him deeply, and he made a firm decision that he would never take a human life, no matter the circumstances. Then came World War II, a time when millions of young men were called to fight. Like many Americans, Desmond felt a strong sense of duty to serve his country. But his beliefs created a dilemma. How could he serve in the army without violating his moral code? While most would have chosen to stay away, Desmond chose a different path. He enlisted in the U.S. Army, not as a soldier carrying a weapon, but as a medic, someone who saves lives instead of taking them. From the very beginning of his military training, Desmond stood out, but not in a way that earned admiration. His refusal to carry a weapon made him the target of ridicule, harassment, and even hatred from fellow soldiers. They called him a coward. They accused him of putting others at risk. Some even tried to get him kicked out of the army. But Desmond never wavered. He endured the insults, the punishments, and the isolation with quiet determination. Training was brutal. His fellow soldiers struggled to understand how someone could go into battle without a rifle. His superiors doubted him. But Desmond proved himself in other ways. He worked harder than anyone else, trained relentlessly as a medic, and demonstrated unwavering commitment to his role. Slowly, though not completely, some began to see that his courage was simply different. In 1945, Desmond's unit was deployed to Okinawa, one of the bloodiest battles in the Pacific during World War II. The battlefield they faced was known as Hacksaw Ridge, a towering cliff fortified with Japanese defenses. It was a nightmare of gunfire, explosions, and chaos. Soldiers climbed the ridge under heavy fire, knowing that many would not return. When the attack began, the situation quickly turned into a massacre. Men were cut down by machine guns, torn apart by grenades, and left wounded in the open. Eventually, the order came to retreat. Most soldiers pulled back, leaving behind the injured, who could not move. But Desmond stayed. Alone on the battlefield, surrounded by enemy forces, he made a decision that would define his legacy. One by one, he searched for wounded soldiers, men who had been left for dead. He dragged them to the edge of the cliff and carefully lowered them down using a rope. Each time he saved a man, he whispered a simple prayer. "Lord, please help me get one more." Again and again, he ventured back into danger. No weapon, no protection, just faith, courage, and an unshakable commitment to saving lives. Through the night, he continued this mission, risking his life every moment. By the time it was over, Desmond Doss had saved 75 men. 75 lives, pulled from the jaws of death by one man who refused to carry a gun. Even after that night, his bravery did not stop. Days later, during another assault, Desmond was severely wounded by a grenade. As he lay bleeding, he insisted that others be treated before him. While being carried to safety, he was hit again, this time by a sniper's bullet that shattered his arm. Yet even then, he improvised a splint using a rifle stock and crawled 300 yards to reach help. His action stunned everyone, even those who had once mocked him. The same soldiers who had doubted him now saw him as a hero. For his extraordinary courage, Desmond Doss was awarded the Medal of Honor by Harry S. Truman in 1945. During the ceremony, Truman reportedly told him, "I would rather have this medal than be president." Desmond became the first conscientious objector in American history to receive the Medal of Honor. But despite the recognition, Desmond remained humble. He never saw himself as a hero. To him, he was simply doing what he believed was right, serving God and saving lives. His story later reached a global audience through the film Hacksaw Ridge, which brought his incredible courage to life for a new generation. Yet, even the most dramatic scenes in the movie struggle to capture the full depth of what he did that night on the ridge. Desmond Doss's story is not just about war. It's about standing firm in your beliefs, even when the world stands against you. It's about courage without violence, strength without weapons, and faith in the face of unimaginable fear. In a world where heroism is often defined by power and destruction, Desmond redefined it completely. He proved that one man, armed with nothing but conviction and compassion, can change the fate of dozens and inspire millions. And perhaps the most powerful part of his story is this: he never compromised who he was, even when everything around him demanded that he should. That is what makes Desmond Doss unforgettable.